There it is. So shall we get started?
Yes.
So we are going to be doing the panel on the conversation about navigating this industry and still staying true to who we are, which we were having a whole church ceremony in the back because
KJ is a whole pastor, y'all. Get ready for the word.
I am. Don't judge a book by its cover.
That part.
Yeah, so shall we get started?
Yes.
Okay. If you don't mind, I will ask the first question.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Okay. If you don't follow her, follow Shoniqua Shandai. If you don't watch Harlem, what are you even doing? What are you even doing if you don't watch Harlem? Like, watch it. I'm not playing. But recently, you shared on social media, which I stalked, by the way, because I love you. You have shared that you were bullied as a kid, and then in the 9th grade, you decided to show up as you for the rest of your life. Yeah. Many of the ladies need to tap into that right now in our 30s and 40s and beyond. So what is it that you did, and what can we do?
Okay. I think it came through a little bit of experimentation. I was severely bullied through like middle school all the way up until high school. And that transition between middle school and high school, you're like, okay, this is what I'm gonna go into high school this new year and do something different. And I decided that I would hide because I got tormented so badly. So I was like, I'm just gonna wear sweatpants. I'm just gonna wear hats. And I wore black and gray the whole entire year just so I could avoid the torment. And people still talked. People still had something to say. And I was like, well, I'm hiding and doing something that's completely not me and still getting talked about, so I might as well show up in rainbow colors as vibrantly as I want to. Yeah. I might as well be myself because people are gonna have something to say either way. And so I transitioned my freshman year from completely hiding to my sophomore year. I was like, this is my runway.
Come on.
And I wore sequins and colors and rainbows and everything that I wanted because I learned very early that you can spend your life trying to be someone else and still get ridiculed, or you can be yourself. And people can say whatever they want, but at least you have the benefit of like going to sleep at night saying I showed up as me.
Come
so
on.
I've really like been stressing authenticity because I learned that in the shape shifting or trying to become anyone else, the person that you go to sleep with at night being yourself, I mean, we go to sleep with men too. But having that relationship, that inner turmoil with yourself because I didn't show up as me, I wasn't true to me, I wasn't true to who God appointed me to be, is like the strongest relationship and the biggest turmoil you can have. You can battle haters, but if you aren't okay with you, it doesn't matter. And so, hey, chords. But yeah, really learning that authenticity is freedom was very important to me.
Wow, yeah. That was amazing.
Thank you, Shiana.
Resonates with me. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you a question, and y'all know KJ. Y'all know KJ. Okay, the face, the body, the talent is really unmatched. It really is. And I was telling her she's been that girl since I arrived in Hollywood. Like literally, I remember watching Survivor's Remorse, at the time sleeping on my mama's couch. I was an Angie. But watching her and being like, I can do it because KJ is there. So she's always been that representation of success, of hard work, of determination in this industry, and honestly a light in a dark space. You know how it is to not see yourself on screen, and I had KJ to look at, and so giving her all of her flowers because she is phenomenal. And I'm gonna ask you, you shared on social media that you have been on a 5-year journey in therapy and working on your physical health, which is bang-yang-yanging. What started that for you?
Depression.
Let's talk about
Anxiety. Girl, you know I'm way too sensitive for this.
Do it, reveal.
I'm always like, I can handle anything. And then I'm like, whoa. No, I was just extremely unhappy. This business is crazy. It's a crazy town. It's a crazy experience. And you have to be mentally strong. And I wasn't. I was not mentally strong. I am now. I'm vulnerable. I have access to my emotions, but I'm very mentally strong now. 5 years ago, I cared about what people thought. I don't even know if I cared about myself more than I cared about people pleasing others. I was not clear on the vision for my life, so I was just busy all the time. And this was before self-care was a huge, multi-billion-dollar business, okay, if we're being honest. This was when it was just like, you gotta be strong and independent. You gotta no sleep. You can sleep when you dead, It was just that, 5 years ago, was it just me? I was working 3 jobs, going to auditions, losing sleep, making $100 on a 12-hour day. Talk about that. Was it just me? And it was also before the internet had become. See, now it's so beautiful. I love to see it, especially what the pandemic did. It allowed people to quit their jobs and make money online, and you have the capacity for self-care. You have, I hope so. I hope they take advantage of that. But it was before that whole movement, and I was just depressed all the time. But I was always like this, and I always tried to show up like this.
I call it functioning depression.
Come on. I was functioning, but depressed, exactly. So that's when nothing was working. New job wouldn't work. A new booking wouldn't work. New boyfriend wouldn't work. Nothing was working. Hiking at Runyon wasn't working. So I was like, they lied. I'm out here in the dirt with all these dogs, and I don't feel better. They lied. So I was like, I have to figure this out. So I got a therapist, and I'll make a long story short. I started going to therapy. She was a sister. She understood. She said, hey, you're doing too much. You need to sit down. You need to say no to this. You need to decide what you want to do so that every person who comes up to you, you're not like, yeah, absolutely, I want to be a part of that too. For sure. I'll be the leader of that group. Absolutely, I'm going to mentor this group. Yeah, sure, I'll do that for free. She was like, that's not working. You're exhausted. And I realized, we were talking about this in the back, a lot of the things were out of ego. It was like, I'm trying to prove that I can do everything. I'm trying to prove that, I walk around with resting boss face.
Yes!
This is how I walk around. So people think I'm mean. Often, that's what I've got most of my life. And so for a small stint, probably like 10 years, probably until recently, I would volunteer for things so people would know I'm a nice person. I would say yes to working for free so someone could know that I'm nice, I'm not mean. But, like you so eloquently said, it doesn't matter. People are going to have their judgments of you anyway. So I was putting all this stuff on my plate to make other people happy, and I was unhappy. And so my therapist told me to unclutter my mind. I uncluttered my mind, and then I started going to the gym, started working out, and because people be like, you're so naturally fit. I'm not naturally fit. I'm not naturally fit. That's not a thing. That's something I wake up every morning and I work towards every day. So I appreciate it. I love the compliments, but that ain't natural. Okay. It ain't natural. I literally have thousands of pictures to the show. But I started going to the gym and I started finding comfort in therapy because that was the only time I when I was at the gym on the treadmill, that was the only time no one's thoughts were in my head. So then that became an obsession. And then my therapist was like, that's wrong too. And I was like, can't get it right. So then that's how my journey started. It started with depression, and then I eventually got out of it. And I haven't been depressed since, I will have to say. I haven't been depressed since.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
I mean, I get sad sometimes, but now I'm practicing getting out of it faster, you know. And there's nothing wrong with being depressed. You just got to know how to get out of that thing, because you'll make decisions in your depression that your happy self would not like. Don't make decisions in depression, especially no permanent ones. You know,
Those things we use to self-comfort
come on,
that end up hurting us worse later.
come on.
Some men. So I'm just like, I done been there. Just trying to make yourself feel better.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. And so we're gonna sit here and just be like, yeah, girl. Okay, what is your greatest fear, and how do you calm your mind when this comes up for you?
Oh, that's deep. Okay, I wasn't ready. My greatest fear is not being enough for me. There's so much that I want to do and so many dreams that I have, and I always will find myself comparing myself to the future version of me and being like, I don't know how I will get there, how I'll have enough intelligence, work ethic, kindness, discipline to become that woman that I want to be. And I've really been working on disciplining myself to realize that I'm enough already right now. But a big fear of mine is honestly feeling inadequate within myself. Because everyone, again, to me, I mean, other people's opinions is nice, but the way that I feel about myself, the way that I think of myself is the most important thing. And so I'm constantly like now fighting or reprogramming my mind. That's what I've been doing, because my inner voice, my way that I spoke to myself in my head was very much a tyrant. It was like, bitch, you better do this. And I'm like, that is very unhealthy. It's very unhealthy. And it's like, it comes from, the hustle culture. And I used to listen to this motivational speaker. It was like, if you don't want it more than you want to breathe. And I'm like, but wait a minute.
Eric Thomas.
I listen. We love you, E.T.
You don't want it bad enough.
But I need to breathe, okay? I don't necessarily need the job or need that house as much as I need air and life. And so, but that's how I would talk to myself, and constantly like ridiculing and you're not enough, And so now it's been a lot of practice of combating that voice, of practicing gratitude with self. And whenever I hear a lie of the enemy, because that's what it is, anytime you feel inadequate, because God has made me perfect.
Perfection.
Magnificently made, okay?
Whole.
Wonderfully made. I am well able for any place that he puts me in. So I'm constantly combating those thoughts to the point that now it's a little easier. It comes easier than it was before. But anytime I hear a negative thought, I say the opposite out loud. And so that's my biggest fear and how I've been combating it. Was that the question?
It is the answer.
Okay, man.
It's the answer. That's what I know.
Yes. I want to know what was yours. Can I say that back? Can I give her the same question back to her?
That's okay, first of all, I just want to say everything you said, because I felt the same way. I'm finally like figuring that out. And Shoniqua is such a great human to talk to, because she's always on the journey of growth. And as to am I, and instead of the voice, because I listen to E.T. too, he's great. But he's not my voice. My voice sounds more like, all right, you messed up a little bit. Do it again tomorrow. Figure it out. That's my voice.
Grace.
And having grace with myself. Like, I am not, for so long I identified with like this toughness and this like, oh, it's like the pendulum swings, right? You're like so depressed and you're super nice. Then you go, oh, I gotta be tough and I gotta block everybody out. Nobody's safe for me because you took advantage of my kindness. And I was talking to Koya. I don't know if she's here, but she was like, yeah, but you're in a new space. And this was something that God downloaded to me a few weeks ago, where I was like, I can be outside again. I have discernment now. I didn't have discernment 10 years ago when, this is a made-up name. Please don't cancel him. When Sean Backerton was like, hey, I got a movie I want to put you in, and you showed up to some, like, warehouse, and you had to run. Those are the situations.
Yeah.
Like, this is real life. Like, let me tell you something about KJ Smith. Gone is the day where I'm going to be extra political, okay? This is straight shots, no chasers. Those are the situations I would find myself in because I wanted to do this job so bad, and I had zero discernment because where I was from, I felt safe. My mom, my dad, my family made sure I felt safe, and I came out here and was like, everyone's just like my family, right? No. So I'm going to piggyback on everything she said as far as when it comes to fear and figuring out my authentic self. And I'm gonna add that not reaching my full potential used to be a huge fear for me. And then I said to myself, recently, now all this is recent because I just got back in therapy. All this is recent. I said to myself, wait, you have control of that. So then why are you fearing it? It's like fearing not putting the trunk down. You have control of whether the trunk goes down or not. Press the button or pull it down. So how can I be afraid of reaching my full potential when I have the power to do that? So that's the journey I'm on now. So I don't fear nothing no more.
Amen.
It is what it is.
Let's go.
Straight facts.
Yes. Okay, I have a question. Okay.
No, you do you. You do you.
I have always respected KJ, and girl, yes, because you're so liberated. I remember when you shaved your head, and I was like, yes. It makes, especially in like that was before we were really cutting our hair off, or where we were really wearing our natural hair. You kind of started the wave before, and so seeing you battle against what is the stereotypes of beauty and a leading lady was just so inspiring to me. And now we are in a culture where we're a little bit more liberated. We're showing the skin yin yin, the thighs are out.
Yes.
You know? And you being a pastor, she ain't a pastor, but she a pastor.
Yes, I am.
A whole pastor. Where do you find the battle between, or at least the balance between your spirituality and also the freedom to show up in your sexiness, in your liberation, in your wanting to tell the story as well, but also being true to all of that body that you have? Like, how do you find the balance for yourself?
I love this question. Man, how do I find the balance between my spirituality and my sexuality? It's so many layers. That's such a multi-layered question. I'm a hippie inside. Inside, I think we all should be free. We all should be naked. We all should be running around with our hair the way we want to wear it, barefoot. I'm from the country. I used to walk around barefoot. It was not an issue where I'm from. And then you get into this world and you get on social media and then you start putting stuff, layers on. I'm guilty of it. I'm not guilty of it, but I was a free spirit before I let the industry consume me. I was a free spirit before I let people tell me what I should be. And I find that I'm going back to that place. And we will figure out what that looks like when I get there, but I'm still on my journey because I think that I could present myself in this beautiful temple God gave me and also give a dissertation on atoms and molecular structure. But society doesn't see that. So I constantly battle and have cognitive dissonance between, because I'm also educated, I'm very smart. FAMU, Rattlers, okay? Did you know they have a new thing? I said, how dare you? It's a new, but a lot of cognitive dissonance because I'm like, because I'm an actor, you're diminishing my intelligence. But what I do is I view the world, I probably observe faster and more than anyone on the planet. That's a gift. That's a superpower.
Yes, it is.
So that I can regurgitate that for television and film. So I constantly vacillate between who I have to be for my job and who I truly am. And I don't know how long that journey continues. I hope that we continue to move forward so that people can see. I remember when I first, I'll post, I'm a free spirit, so I like to post whatever. You know, my manager, my reps are like, take that down. I'm all the things. I'm multifaceted. I'm ratchet, bougie, and classy. I'm all the things, and I love it. But then you have people who are like, take that down. That's not a representation of who you are. I'm like, yeah, it absolutely is. You just don't know that version of me because you're my acting manager or you're my accountant but that is absolutely who I am without saying too much. Because I don't know where this video gonna go. But I am still figuring that out. So to make a long story short, I'm still figuring it out. But I would love for those two things to meet, where my true self can meet my artistry. I think musicians are allowed to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Musicians are allowed for them. They are oftentimes very similar to their artistry. Actors, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we get the same freedom. If you had not been Shoniqua Shandai, the actress, singer extraordinaire, would you have been cast in the role you are now? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you present yourself as who you are, and then there are similarities in these certain characters. I always play doctor, lawyer, all that, because I present myself in a way oftentimes, but if I presented myself in a way when I do want to wear purple hair, when I do want to wear bling nails, when I do want to wear, it's like, would I have still gotten the same opportunities? Can you just see the art? Or do I have to KJ the person become?
Present it to you.
Exactly.
It's crazy because unfortunately in this industry that requires so much play and imagination, there seems to be such a lack of that when it comes to casting. It's like we're not allowed to be a human being and then also know that I can conform and change into any character I want to be. And it's even more so marginalizing on Black women who actually are the most complex beings in the world. Like the way that we switch hairstyles and code switch and our different mannerisms and colloquialisms with different people, and yet when we get in the casting room, they're like, I can't see anything but that. And I'm like, do you know the different faces I have to be just to survive in America? To survive?
Come on.
And yet you think I can only play one thing. And so I find myself having to constantly prove that I can be other things as well. And I try to do it with my fashion. When I go to different shows, I'm dressing up in different characters just so that people can see it and be enlightened and be like, oh, we can do more to do different things. Yeah, it just blows my mind that we can we see the representation or the blank slate of a character or a human being as a white male. And those are the people who are allowed to shapeshift.
It's just us.
And then we, as you go down into the other, it's like, oh, we only see you in the very small facet that we can picture Black people in.
100%.
Yeah.
I've seen them go through the effort. I've seen people go through the effort of literally changing another person's complexion and hair texture before casting someone who could do that with ease. You know what I mean? Who could do it with ease, and you don't have to change a thing.
Yeah.
So
Literally CGIing folks. to do
literally,
things.
you know, changing facial structure
Yeah.
so that they can represent a version of us when you have the real thing here.
Right there.
So yeah, no, you're absolutely right about the imagination and the lack of it. So, you know, to finish off that question, yes, I absolutely feel like, you know, I still have to, it's like kind of like, I guess if you work for ABC Bank, you know, and they had a dress code, it's like I still feel like I still have to match a certain dress code, even though myself, my person, my closest friends know who that person is. My closest friends see me in my sweatpants all the time. All the time. Sweatpants all the time. My closest friends see me, you know, in my true element and know who I am. But oftentimes, because I still want to do this thing, I still have things that I want to do. You know, it's kind of like I still have to teeter the fence of politics versus myself. So I'll get there. I'll find it. I hope that answered that question.
Oh, you answered it beautifully.
Okay. I'm just being honest. Let me ask you a question. All right.
As we look at our cards.
Yeah. Okay. It says, can you tell each other what you admire about the other person?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's easy.
That's very easy for me, too.
Very much.
Okay.
I feel like, well, there's so many things that I admire about KJ. As I said, she was one of a trailblazer for these generations, my generation of actors or leading ladies.
Thank
we
you.
saw KJ first before I was even able to audition for things that she was in. I knew of KJ and was like watching her and so excited. Another thing that I'm really inspired by, or that I inspire and I admire about you, is your business sense. I think it's very easy to be an artist, and specifically as Black women be taken advantage of in this industry. So knowing a woman who is like about her business first really inspires me to be about my business as well.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you want to delve into that a little bit about the business aspect
Show
of
business,
the artistry.
baby. It's show business.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna do yours first.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go into that.
Okay.
Okay. So the thing I admire about Shoniqua Shandai is when I will never forget the first moment I met her, and that's a gift, because I meet a lot of people, and I will never forget the first or the second or the third or the fourth. This woman has a way of showing up that it's like a comet falls out of the sky and it's right in front of you. And she is always like this. Every experience I have with her, she's always giving people their flowers. I have never received so many compliments. And I got a whole man. This woman is always giving people her flowers. And you know what? I needed to hear it. I needed that. I am older than you. I've been doing this a long time. And I am not rejecting one flower that is given to me this year.
Amen.
So thank you. Shoniqua, thank you. Oh, Elle Reed did my makeup.
Yes.
She's incredible. More flowers. Flowers around, all around. Shoniqua Shandai is always giving everyone their flowers. Every person she touches, and I've seen it. She don't even know a person. She's like, oh my gosh. She's so in tune and in touch and connected. And that's a gift. And that is a superpower. I don't know how many you have. Because I've witnessed like 5. But that is a superpower. And unbeknownst to anyone else, you have been helping me on my journey to authenticity. She doesn't know that. I just threw that on her, but it's true. Because she has always been Shoniqua Shandai. When I met her, she was Shoniqua Shandai. So y'all are just now getting to see KJ Smith. I've been on my journey. When I first moved here, I'm KJ Smith. I'm country, actually. It's more country. I'm KJ Smith. It was more like that. And then during my depression, which lasted 10 years, which I didn't know, it was, I'm KJ Smith. Now it's, I'm KJ Smith. Yes. And I learned that from Shoniqua Shandai. You never know who is inspiring you when you don't even know it. She was just a babe to me. I was like, oh, you so cute. You just moved out here. Okay, do your thing. Do your thing, young one. How I said, my assistant. This is my assistant. Do your thing, little young one. But I saw her walk in the room like she had been on, I don't know, name ABC franchise, 3 series, you know, but she walked in like that. And I was like, I like that. I want some of that. I want to own the room. I want to take up space. And you have always done that. And you've always been so consistent in that. And it's always been so admirable. So I know you're going on another journey, which my good sis is moving to Atlanta.
Get me out of here.
But don't lose that, because you're inspiring people without even knowing it. Even people that's been in the game.
Thank you, sis. Thank you.
Ooh, child. This too much. Cody.
My bad. I'll jump in. I'll give you a break.
Thank you.
I'll give you a break. I've got questions. I have questions. And then I'll let y'all ask some questions. First, I want to throw a few more flowers at Shoniqua, because I remember the moment I met her too. And that was last year at the Essence Wellness thing. But I don't remember the thing. I remember you. And you are a bright light. You are like everything that KJ just described. And I felt so just warm and honored in your presence. And I will also add, for the folks in this room who've known me my whole life, Mercedes, Sean, Tyler back here, we bonded over fabulosity. Because there's a book by Kimora Lee Simmons that came out, I think, when I was in grad school. I think that's when I discovered it. It had been out for quite some time, called Fabulosity. Really about owning who you are. And everything that book gave me and made me feel, I was still probably still in a little bit of a shell of it. And when I met her last year, also younger than me, I saw all of that beauty and fabulosity and that big, beautiful personality and color that I strive for. And so I just want to throw those flowers at you and ask you a question. I still have one for you, KJ, too. That question is, this is a difficult industry, right? How do you protect that?
I keep my family around me. I literally use my mom as a shield sometimes. Back in the day, and you talked about going into warehouses, I would take my mom with me everywhere, and it's literally saved me, because there's been some auditions that we were like, why are we in a basement? And I know for a fact that man would have tried something if mama had not been there with me. And so keeping people around you who can protect you, who can call out the real, who know when you're putting on, you all right? Okay, they're good. But who can realize when you're putting on a face, and also who you can be yourself with. I really enjoy spaces where I can be boring. I love spaces where I don't have to entertain, where I can be quiet and be a wallflower and put on sweatpants. And so having those places protect my light. Filling my cup with God and spirituality, knowing that I can't shine if I'm not first looking at the creator of the shine, helps protect it. And then reminding myself that I am here to be me. And the blessing will pass me if I'm pretending to be somebody else. It won't recognize the address if I'm blanketed and trying to be someone else. And so reminding myself that the abundance, the greatness, the light, the inspiration that I'm supposed to share passes me by if I'm curtailing it, if I'm hiding it, if I'm wrapping it up in someone else's clothing. And that's what protects it as well.
I can hand this off and come back to my own question. Okay, new face.
Hello, everyone. I'll stand. My name is Deja Janae, and I'm a model, celebrated 10 years in February.
Yes, Deja, she a baddie, she knows she a 10.
Thank you. Took a long time to realize that. So I know of you, KJ, from Cali. I love it. I'm new to this event. Hello, Queens. I almost didn't come because I'm going through a hard time, but I'm so happy I stepped foot in this building. Since I've came in here, I just feel the energy, whether it's a look or whether it's a compliment. Just wanted to say you guys are queens, and I appreciate and admire the authenticity because it is hard. We live in one of the most craziest cities in the world, and to follow our dreams is such admirable to see queens come up on stage and be authentically you, especially Black women. So my question is, I'll get to the point, what was your breakthrough? Like, how did you know that you, I guess, made it? Like, how did you know when you stepped foot in your purpose? Because there's so many opportunities that can look like where we're supposed to be, but it may not be because, like you said, so desperate to get the job, so desperate to get the yes, so desperate to get the opportunity. How did you know that, okay, this was meant for me? This is how did you get to where you are authentically, if that makes sense?
That's a good question.
Is that a good, okay, did it make sense?
How much time you got? You want to answer?
No, go KJ.
I think the phrase made it is a little deceiving. I think you continue to make it. You just keep making it, you know. So I could say, you know, when I first got off the plane, no, I drove here. I don't know why I said that.
When you landed.
I'll never do it again.
Okay. When you were raw.
4 days, it was a mess. So when I first got here, I was like, I'm a star. I had all the confidence in the world because, to be honest, I was ignorant of what the business needs, what the business requires. I mean, there is show business, after all, which I love the business. I have a degree in business. So if I would have known that, I would have prepared better. But I came out here to be an artist. So I was like, art, everything is art. Everything is beautiful. Everything is fantastic. So your standards continue to change. Your goals continue to change. So when I first I booked a commercial. I made $800 for a week of work for a commercial that was non-union. To me, I had made it at that time. And then I was like, oh, wait, well, I could get more money, or I could work less time, or I could do a bigger commercial. Then I booked another one, and then it was like, oh, shoot, Chase Bank, I made it, you know. I know I can't say no brands. XYZ Bank. Oh, I made it. So then I made it. So you just continue. It's a process of continuing to make it, and how you know it's for you is when it's undeniable. There have been jobs that I went out for that I booked where it was written, actually my first pilot, it was written for a white male. And at the time, I had just lost out on a role I had tested for something that I was like, this is actually me. Like this girl right here, your name Janae, you say your name is Janae? Dejanay? Deja Janae, right? My middle name is Janae too. Yeah, it resonated with me. I was like, this is Janae. That's what my family calls me. So I was like, this is mine. I tested for it, didn't get it. At the time, I was so heartbroken. The next thing I booked was written. It was the quickest audition I had ever done. I didn't have to test for it 3 times. I literally went into the room. I did one scene. And then the next day, they were like, you're booked. We need you to fly to New Orleans. That was for me. That was mine. And no one else could have had that. That belonged to me. So when things like that happen, the aligning with source, and it's usually, the irony is sometimes after a bad thing happens, but I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe that anymore. That's what I used to believe. Now I'm like, no, it's gonna be good thing after good thing after good thing after good thing, because nothing happens to me. Everything happens for me. I may not have booked that, but I made an impression with this person, or I made a friend, or I made a relationship, or they're looking at me for something else. Like, it's always just on the path to continuing to make it. People will say, KJ, you made it. You done XYZ seasons? I can't make that announcement.
Yay!
I'm in my bag this year. Just know that. You made it. You got this. You got a regular gig. People know you. If you go places, you made it. Yeah, I have made it. But I have a new goal as well. So I'm just gonna patiently get to that next goal, and then I'm gonna make it, and then I'm gonna patiently get to the next goal. So everything you do is making it. Just honor where you're at, honor what it is, enjoy it, bask in it. Because let me tell you something, leading a show ain't nothing like that $800 commercial. I didn't do nothing on that commercial. I sat back, they were like, KJ, I was like, okay. They took a face shot, and then I moved on. That's why I made $800. Because I didn't do no work. This job, it requires all of me. And that is the difference. So now I'm just like, okay, I'm getting new skills every time. You have to know that every time you're learning something new, you're getting a new skill that's preparing you for that next big thing. So just be patient. It's not, we got to start enjoying it more. And I'm telling you this because I'm telling this to myself this year. I was just telling Shoniqua that the other day. I said, it's my turn-up year. So we got to start enjoying it. If I were in your shoes, I would start enjoying it now. I didn't start enjoying it until after a few movies, after a few series. I took myself too seriously. So just try to enjoy it to the next thing, okay?
First of all, I need to thank you, because when I saw you in Harlem, a lot of times Black women were made to bond over brokenness. And the fact that your character is so whole and unapologetic, not perfect, but whole, was so refreshing for me to see. Because sometimes I have a hard time making friends with women because I'm not broken either. I'm like, so do I get to like myself and still be your homegirl? So I just want to thank you for being whole, right?
Yes.
Tell that part.
And
Tell that part. That's
Yeah.
real.
that's good.
So this comes to my question now. Comparison is the thief of joy, and you're in an industry that systemically pits women against each other. And a lot of times, even the most abundant person can't help but find themselves fighting the hater within. We talk about outside haters all the time, but my sister's having a winning season and I'm not. She got that role and I didn't. She broke a record and I didn't even get in the room yet. But watching you guys pour into each other, how did you manage to kill off the hater within so that you could clap for each other the way you've been doing for the past 45 minutes?
That's so good. This ain't gonna sound good, but I never was a hater because I was too insecure within myself. So I was always the person that, like, be my friend, be my friend. So I would tell everyone about auditions. I would tell everyone about opportunities. I felt like I had to pay to be your friend by offering you something. So there was never any comparison to me. I wanted everybody to win, but more so I wanted you to be my friend. And if you were my friend, you would come to, look, here's this audition, here's this self-tape, here's this thing, here's that thing. Like, I want you to like me, and the way that I could bargain that was through offering work. So there wasn't really ever any hater in me. My biggest obstacle to overcome was hating on myself. So I never really had to compare with anybody else. I was always comparing myself to myself. And I remember I used to like boast about that. It was so negative, so toxic. But I'm like, can't nobody say something about me worse than I can say about myself. And I'm like, girl, ew.
Toxic relationship.
Toxic relationship with me. So I never really was a big comparison person and never felt like I couldn't tell anyone about anything because I always felt like what God has for me is for me. And I know that I'm so uniquely made, I could travel all over this world and not find another woman like me. And so, the good or the bad, okay? But also, like, I just felt like we could all go for the same thing, and no one's gonna tell the same story the same because we're all carrying our experiences. We're carrying our upbringing and the things that we went through. So I could go in a room with KJ or go into a room with Taraji and know that they're not gonna show the same experience because our voices are what we've gone through is completely and utterly different. But what I learned was to really be kinder to myself. But another thing that helped reinforce that though too about the hateration and the comparison was that I encountered this older actress, and can I remember Frances Fisher? Okay, I was like, do not forget her name. She's been on Titanic and at one point was like running for SAG president, and I hope she gets it because she would drastically change this industry for actors. But she gave me the lesson or told me that like, any role that you get is something that your spirit needed to dive into this character to learn. And any role or audition you don't get was your spirit was completed in that growth in the room. And literally every role that I've ever gotten has taught me something about myself. I needed to go through Angie because I needed to learn how to love me without anything. I always felt like I would feel better about me once I got the thing, and then I got the thing and it wasn't enough. And so really learning how to see this woman who loves herself, whether she's on a couch, whether she is $0 in her bank account, whether she is unemployed or dating someone, like nothing about her circumstances fills her cup. She fills her own cup. And so that was a role I needed. And everything that I've ever encountered in my life regarding roles has been the same. So I don't really know how to speak on hatering because I've never been a hater. I'm just not gonna lie. I've never been a hater, and it's not because it's just because my journey has been working on me. But I have experienced haters. And I have experienced the women who are jealous of each other. And again, and my heart empathizes with that because I don't quite know that, but I understand where it comes from, and it comes from a place of lack because I did the same thing with myself. And so I just hope that we all can see how valuable we are, and I always approach any blessing that happens to a friend as in like God is in my neighborhood. It's like, oh, if he knocking on your door and we on the same block, it's only a matter of time before he's knocking on mine as well. So any blessing for anyone else is a confirmation for my own blessing, and it's not a matter of if, but when. And I've always been sure of that. It's so interesting that I could be so sure of myself in one capacity. And it's been blessed that I am sure of myself in all others now. But really knowing that like, what God has for me is for me. Can't nobody stop it. And any blessing, any gift, any abundance that comes to you is just really just a check for, oh, it's coming to me as well. So yes, I hope that helped in any way.